So here's a short story about a guy who handles things quite right, ultimately quite right, after his girlfriend threw a big giant temper tantrum because he spent a bunch of money on a car. You're going to see that clearly she wanted that money spent on her. And this guy ultimately makes the right choice and definitely dodges a big one. And it's a classic example, guys, of how when your girl, particularly, and it's not your wife, just your girlfriend, tries to start telling you how you spend your money and things like that, unless you're spending it on very bad things like bad substances or anything like that, that'll tell you exactly who she is and where things are going to be if you continue the future with her. So best to look at the big picture and get rid of her before it gets worse. Titled, Am I the A-hole for getting an expensive car even though I knew my long-term girlfriend would be upset about it? And a shout out to Joe for sending this story. He says, I'm 27 years old and my girl, Georgia, is 25. And she works as a pharmacy associate. We've been together for 2.5 years now, and I see a future with her. I work in healthcare and have been scrimping and saving through most of my 20s. I didn't have much of a college experience and have just stacked away money for my future. Hey, good for him. Start young. Recently, I got fed up with my current car, my Hyundai, and decided it's finally time to trade in for something nice and comfortable for myself. I told my girl about my plan, and she asked me what cars I was looking at, and she absolutely disagreed. I found it surprising, but I said that I wanted to get the car anyway. It's none of her freaking business what you spend your money on, your car or anything like that. You've been saving all along, and your car, his current car, like young people typically have the junk car, or at least they used to, until they have their real job. They can get a semi-decent car to use to get to work and everything. So be it. It's not our business. This was a point of contention for a while, so I found myself holding off on biting the bullet on purchasing the car. Smack! Shouldn't have waited so long. You want that car, you get that car. It's none of our fucking business. This has been the first real fight in our relationship. I would bring it up and she would either shut it down or give me some reason that I don't find particularly convincing. Saying things like, it's too expensive. Well, I can't afford it. I have a lot of money saved up, blah, blah, blah. Eventually, I was getting frustrated and I vented with my friend and said, she's joining onto your life and she can either hop on or hop off. You don't need her permission. Listen to your bro. You don't need her permission. I figured that was a valid point from him. I told Georgia that I was getting the car, and she said to me, do what you want. And that was that. The classic line, do what you want. Well, I got my 2022 Audi A6 45 Premium Plus a couple days ago. I test drove it and it rode so smooth. It had black leather seats, white exterior, low miles, clean Carfax, and 20-inch V rims. I was so happy I got it for $39,000 out the door. I put $15,000 down, traded in my Hyundai and financed the rest through my credit union. Well, I don't know how many miles are on this car. I'm going to assume that it's a reasonable deal. If he's paying $39,000 for this thing, I hope the mileage isn't too high here, but okay, it's 2022. I drove home grinning ear to ear. I called my girlfriend later that day and invited her to my apartment. I cooked her salmon and mashed potatoes and cracked open a store-bought cheesecake. Eventually, I took her outside and showed her the car. You do realize, dude, she's going to throw a little temper tantrum. You know she wants that money spent on her. I figured once she saw how nice of a purchase I made, that maybe she wouldn't be so mad. After all, could you be mad as a passenger princess in a German luxury car? It was vain hope. She was upset. She said to me, you actually did it. I said, yeah, I said I was going to. We started bickering. She asked me how much it cost, and I told her. She said, that's more than I make in a year. I said, yeah, but I can afford it. We went back and forth, but the argument devolved. Eventually I said, if you can't be happy for me, you can just go ahead and go home. Good for him. Yes. Most guys don't have the balls to do that. Either walk away from the girl, or if she's at your house, tell her to go home. Good for him. She started tearing up and apologized. I apologized for snapping at her. We just spent the night in after that. See? The second he said, get out of here, and then the waterworks start. Today I spoke with my girl, and she said that she wanted an apology from me for disregarding her feelings regarding me purchasing an expensive vehicle. I told her no apology was coming for that. I was happy with my purchase. She can either get over it or not. But how she felt about it was not my problem to solve. Good for you, man. She said that was really mean, and said I was really mean, and she's trying to control my purchase as a grown man. Am I the a-hole? Smack! No, you're not the a-hole. She's the a-hole. Now, if he was going out and spending all that money on a bunch of freaking illegal drugs, okay, then I got no problem with that. Or if he was being deliberately ripped off, I could see her having an opinion on that. But if this is a guy who's finally buying his first car after probably driving a clunker for a while, he needs something reliable, okay, I get that. Now, I'm all for putting money away and investing it, especially when you're young, but you obviously have to have a car and one that works well. So he's treating himself. Fair enough. I'm going to assume he's putting his money in the right places otherwise. It's not our fucking business. Well, we're going to get down to what this really is about. Part 2. It says, well, I got to the root of the issue with my girlfriend after we spoke yesterday. First things first, to clear up a few commonly mentioned things in the comment section, my girlfriend was not expecting a ring from me. She didn't want one while she was deciding whether to go to graduate school or pharmacy school. I can afford the car. He says, I work as a nurse, male nurse, Greg Fokker, making well over 70 grand a year, and I have lots of savings. I've worked as a nurse for 4 years. I lived with my parents for 3 of those years and didn't spend much money at all. The used Audi A6 I purchased is the biggest purchase I've ever made, and I wanted to finance half of it in case I want a mortgage in the future. Things have gotten better between the two of us since the exchange at the end of our last post. Gotten better. You should have broken up with her. The second she started telling you, giving you a hard time about it, you should have broken up with her. Especially after that little drama fest. Her wanting you to apologize. Get the fuck out of here. I did take her out to get some ice cream and also surprised her by taking her to get her nails done as well. Smack! What, you're rewarding her bad behavior? How do you think that's going to work out? She added if I was trying to bribe her for being mad. See, she can tell. I said no, just trying to be kind, even though I'd planned these weekend activities ahead of time and was still fairly mad at her. Well, normally after a date out, we would wrap things up at my place, but I didn't have the bandwidth and wanted some space. I dropped her back off at her parents' house and asked that she be coming by my place tomorrow so we could just quash these issues looming over our relationship, and she said okay. Now listen to this, guys. I ran some errands yesterday and prepared for my girlfriend to come by. Around 6 o'clock, she came by after her shift. I sat her down at the table with a pizza and basically just asked that we keep it civil and try not to get emotional. You're trying to tell a girl to not get emotional. Why don't you just tell a dog not to bark? Why don't you tell a cat not to meow? Good freaking luck, it's their nature. I asked her why the car was too expensive. She said that it just was. It's excessive and wasteful. I said that I agree. That caught her off guard. I told her I saved a lot of money and basically spent very little on myself. So just once, I wanted to be excessive on myself. She asked if it's a one-time thing, and I said probably. I intend to treat the car very well. I believe him. I believe him absolutely. I asked her why her reaction was so strong to the car. This is where she kind of shut down a little bit. I prodded her a bit, and she said that she decided she wanted to go to pharmacy school. She was going to tell me soon, and while she was making this big adult decision in her eyes, here I was blowing a bunch of money on a luxury car. He's not going for any further schooling. He's where he wants to be, so what difference does it make? Well, I'm sure a lot of you guys have already figured this out. I congratulated her on making up her mind on her career. I didn't particularly agree with characterization, but I could see how she could see it that way. I asked which school she was applying to, and she mentioned a few public universities in our state. I asked her how she was planning on paying for it, and she said she had no other option other than loans. She was also hoping I would be willing to help her out or chip in. Now we know why she's throwing a little hissy fit, a temper tantrum. She wanted him, the money that he put towards this car, to go to paying off her freaking loans or her tuition. We all know darn well that the odds are he wouldn't get that money back if they broke up. There you go. All being selfish. I told her I loved her, but that she took out her anxieties of being able to pay for her pharmacy degree on me instead of being happy for me. She apologized for that and said she didn't realize that getting a nice car meant a lot to me. Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. She's trying to protect herself here. She started crying, of course, and I held her for a bit. We spoke for a long time after that, and in some, though, things are uncertain. I feel like I saw a really bad side of her before we took some really big steps together. Her lack of communication and feeling of control over my purchase concerned me, and I don't think it would be a very good idea for me to marry her. No, he said this is like their first real fight argument. This is a big one. This is going to show you what she's like. She, instead of being happy for this guy, a good girlfriend would be happy for him. Like, you know what, Bill, or whatever the fuck his name is, you deserve this. You've worked hard. You've been driving that clunker for a while. It's breaking down half the time. You saved your money and da-da-da-da. You deserve this. No, she's pissed off and she's using him. She had marriage material. I say marry her because there's no way I would support someone through a pharmacy degree without some sort of legal reassurance. Things left on a bittersweet note, and I love you nonetheless. I dropped her back at her parents' house. Right now, I'm 90% leaning towards ending the relationship because I just don't see us heading in the same direction anymore. I probably won't update or respond to comments for a while. I have to get back I got back-to-back shifts starting tomorrow, and I'm going to hit the hay after this post. Well, that abruptly ends his thing. Now, I did some digging in the comment section. He responds to a lot of things, talking about the car and his income and all that. But he mentioned he broke up with her. Hallelujah. Because this is what she would be like as a girlfriend, a fiance, and a wife. Be telling him what to spend his money on, wanting him to pay for this, and this. She's not a good girlfriend and would not make a good wife. So, guys, even though these situations make you want to scream, be grateful for moments like this that may pop in your life if you're paying attention to show you who she is. Or if you're a girl, who he is. Because otherwise, you end up getting a permanent relationship with a marriage, and it gets much worse. So, you know what? She's dug her own grave on this one, so good for him for ending it before it got too bad. I wish this young guy lots of luck in his bright future.